Story 1. I'm sitting in the hospital cafeteria again, grabbing a quick bite to eat because of his heart issues. Hopefully, he can come home sooner than last time. Story 2. We were together over 40 years, through some very hard times. Raised kids together. She died unexpectedly. Every day I realize how much I depended on her being there. We had something all right. Story 3. He is currently cheating on me with a crack whore after 16 years, prison time, and a traumatic brain injury, where he had to learn how to walk and talk all over again. He stopped taking his medication and turned into a monster. I am currently trying to get things together for myself and leave. Wish me luck. Story 4. We are having a baby and are very content and functional, deeply in love and true partners in everything. We went through a stage where we would get in screaming fights every week for a couple of months, one of us storming out. We found our way back, but we had to decide to not let it get that way anymore. We had the talk and realized neither of us was going anywhere, so there was just no point in hurting each other. Very proud of us. Story 5. Still married, about to be going on 8 years in April. Happy and living in Texas. We still go through hard times, but we know we will be okay after having gone through a big one before. Story 6. Alone. After he decided he wanted his ex back after 12 years. I stuck with him through alcoholism, depression, unemployment, and getting arrested. And he threw it all away. Story 7. Past them. We went from selling anything of value to live to owning a home with a little land. In our 17 years of being together, we are still not only husband and wife, but best friends who have grown closer than we ever thought possible. Story 8. Found out last week that the hard times I stayed through couldn't touch what was actually happening behind my back. Trust your instincts. I hate my life right now. Story 9. I feel so lost without them. We went through so much together, and now it just feels empty. I keep trying to remind myself of the good times, but it hurts knowing they are not here anymore. It is like a part of me is missing, and I just do not know what to do. Story 10. Divorced. She went through hell and I stood beside her, holding her hand through it all. As soon as she started to heal, she decided she didn't want to be a mom anymore and moved in with the local plumber. My boys and I are super close, and she ignores them in the street and has no contact with them. Her choice. My boys are great, though it's been a very hard 6 years. But we're all awesome. Though I still hope she faces consequences for what she put them through. Story 11. I'm the cause of the hard times, not the one that stuck it out. I was addicted to opiates for a few years. I lied to my wife every day and spent all of our money. I was just a jerk. I finally admitted to my problem, which I think was big for our relationship. I'm not sure we'd be where we are if she had found out, rather than me owning up to it. Times were rough and she had every right to leave me. She didn't. This all happened about 7 years ago. We've been together for 13 years in total. We have 2 beautiful, amazing kids, and our relationship is stronger and better than it has ever been. We never fight, and I honestly love her more every day. Some things are worth fighting for. I'm glad she thought that. Story 12. She cheated. I supported her through the death of her father and many other difficult things, but it all led to me getting my heart broken. I'm glad I did support her, and I'm also relieved that she's out of my life. I'm more relieved that I'm alone, and I can pour more energy into looking out for myself because that's something I neglected for many years since someone else always came first. Life is blissful now. Story 13. I met my wife at a football tournament. I was there as a referee, and she worked in a tent as a match coordinator. Between our matches, we spent a lot of time in that tent talking, and we decided to meet up again when I was back home, roughly 600 kilometers away from the tournament. The very day that she was to visit me, I crashed my motorcycle into the side of a truck while going 70 kilometers per hour, so my mom had to call her and tell her not to come, as she was just about to board the train. I was in intensive care for about 2 weeks, but after that, I was placed in a regular ward. She called me every day just to talk and keep me company as I was unable to walk. It took me 4 months to get back to walking and about 4 years before I was free of constant pain. During that time, I couldn't complete physical tests to continue as a referee, and I lost a career I had built since the age of 12. With that, I also lost all of my social circles as they were all connected to my career. The single most impactful moment was after surgery for compression syndrome, basically the muscles strangling themselves from internal bleeding in my calf. The doctor doing the rounds asked how I was doing, and I told him I was still in pain even after the surgery, like 2 days after. He said that was weird and that I should have been free of pain. He went to check the journal and found that they had only opened 3/4 valves in the legs, even though you'd normally open all 4. So I asked if they could just rip the stitches and do it correctly. He said, "No, it's too late now." And I asked, "What does that mean?" He informed me that it would either heal by itself or turn into chronic pain. Then he just left to continue his rounds. I was left there with a million questions running through my mind, stuck in that hospital bed, unable to move even to go to the bathroom, and felt more and more panicked over the thought of having chronic pain at 22 years old. At that very moment, my now wife called me, and I broke down crying instantly. She got a bit insecure and asked if she called me at a bad time, but I just said that she called me at the exact moment I needed her the most. She came to visit about 3 months after the accident and pushed me around in a wheelchair and took care of me. She accidentally pushed me into a pothole while watching a particularly ugly building in my hometown. I like to remind her about that from time to time, but all in all, she was a good caretaker. I lost my entire old life in that accident, but it also enabled me to rebuild a life in her hometown, starting fresh with her, and it really paid off. I found a new passion, and she supported me through thick and thin. She's currently asleep in bed with our 2 lovely kids. We have celebrated 13 years together this year. Story 14. Stuck it out with my first wife as she was battling cancer. She cheated on me years before, but I only found out while she was sick. I didn't leave as we had 2 kids together. When she passed away from her cancer, it felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. I have since found an amazing partner in life and have enjoyed life to the fullest. Story 15. She divorced me the moment things got better. We both went back to school, and after we finished, within a year our income doubled. Hers was a little higher than mine. About a year later is when I started suspecting she was running around. A year after that, we divorced. Now it's 3 years post-divorce. She can't keep a job other than fast food, and I got several raises and promotions. So I guess it worked out for me in the end. Story 16. Basically, he stopped communicating with me after a 9-year relationship despite much sacrifice on my part. So that was nice. I suspected there was another person involved but never got proof. I'm much more fulfilled and happy now with someone more compatible with me. I heard he is still on the dating applications. I'm convinced it's having ungrateful partners like these that makes people lose faith in dating. It's not a gender issue but a character issue. Find someone who is appreciative of you. Story 17. She broke up with me after putting me $2,000 in credit card debt. She's now living across the street with a drug addict young enough to be her son. I'm not saying I'll never date or trust again, but she certainly taught me a valuable lesson about whom I let into my life. Story 18. Supported him after he voluntarily quit his job and wanted to do something different. Supported him through school for a few years, carrying all financial burdens. He left and told me I was too much. He wanted to come back 2 months later. I made sure that door was sealed shut. I'm now happily enjoying my single life, though sometimes I do wonder if I'll ever meet someone who can make me feel safe again in a relationship. Story 19. Doing pretty well. 9 years together so far and counting. Year 4 or 5 was pretty rocky due to her getting hooked on hard liquor and abusing it. I would come home almost every day from work to find her nearly blacked out. Frustrating, to say the least. We took a 3-month break from the relationship, and she realized I was right and that she should quit that poison if she wants a happy life together. No relapses since. Story 20. Life force completely robbed from me. Years of opportunities missed at the peak of my life. Thousands of dollars down the drain. My looks have tanked. I've aged 10 years in the last 4, and every single thing in my life has fallen apart because of a man who treated me horribly. Story 21. I'm about to get divorced because he decided that he no longer needed medication and that he could start bashing me instead. 12 years of marriage. Forget him. Story 22. During our hard time, I asked her, "Are we fighting to stay together or to pull apart?" Stopped her in her tracks. She wanted in. I wanted in. 3 years later, we're closer than ever and deeper in love. Takes two to make commitment work. Story 23. I stuck with him for 17 years and lost my house, my dogs, my credit rating was absolutely shot, and I discovered that he had lied about filing our taxes for 3 years. Had to pay back $10,000 to the state and $10,000 to the federal government. Once I got away, a dear friend let me stay with her for a month. Then I got a solid roommate. I was able to get my feet under me, pay my back taxes, and repair my credit rating. Ended up marrying the said roommate. We've been together for 7 years, and I've never been so happy. Story 24. I think we are both in a period of monumental acceptance while still navigating past hurts, and I believe the hard times will be with us indefinitely. The key is that we are both willing to grow together and be there for each other as a source of strength. I am not facing this alone, and neither is he. Story 25. Supported her and her kids for 7 years. She lost her job, and I covered everything for 6 months so she could find herself. Gave her a BMW so she could get out of a predatory car loan, only to have her complain about the car being unsuitable. Bought a house with my inheritance, covered the mortgage and most of the bills. Paid off the majority of her consumer proposal so she could fix her credit rating. Built a company for her, trained her how to do the work. Built her website, logo, company documents, and gave her all the contacts she needed. Sexless marriage for 3 years. Psychological and emotional abuse. I finally called it off. She called the police and said I threatened to hurt her and the kids. Spent a month in an Airbnb. She packed up and moved her family and belongings out a week and a half ago. I'm home. I'm already feeling better. She'll come for her pound of flesh, and she can have it, as long as I never have to look at her face again. 2025 is going to be an amazing year. Christine, if you're reading this, my lawyer is going to get my dog back for me and address the family debt I've carried for you and your kids. 50-50. Babe, you should have chosen mediation. Story 26. Thrown out on my ass for severe depression. Stood by her invisible illnesses for nearly 20 years. Of course, I was faking the whole time. Just ask her. Hakuna Matata. She was always the worst person I had ever known. She was absolutely fascinating. I just thought I was her person, so I was cool with it. Now I'm putting my pieces back together. I've got 2 kids who are better than they have any right to be from the storm they grew up in. I've got my mom out of her tent. She's still got her drugs, but she's sheltered now. I've got my car. She's a zippy little 2023. I've got a place to live and am working on building a new career. I've got some tabletop role-playing game groups I'm in. I've got my little cat friend, Shadow, and a full belly. I'm alright. Stay amazing. I love you always and forever. My friend. Thanks for asking. Story 27. Married for 13 years now. We have a son as well. I finally found someone that was in it to win it just like me, and we've tackled everything that has come our way since we met. Homelessness, long distance between us, losing jobs, losing friends, family, and pets. Nothing has torn us apart or made us fight each other. We just bond together even stronger. Story 28. A better question. What were some of the worst of the hard times you had with your partners and still stayed? As in, what did they do or say that really made you question the whole relationship? Story 29. Met my now husband 3 months before he went on a 10-month deployment halfway across the world. It was super hard and took a lot of work. Totally worth it, though. I'm now holding our 6-week-old son while he goes and picks up big sister from school. Story 30. Sticking with a partner through tough times really tests the strength of a relationship. For some, it is about being there during illness, financial struggles, or family issues. It is not always easy, but the bond that forms when you go through something hard together can make the relationship stronger. It is about showing up for each other when it counts the most. Those moments can shape your connection in ways that nothing else can. Story 31. Still here, things are better than ever, closer than ever. There are more hard times ahead, I'm sure, but we've weathered everything together quite well so far. There's no one I'd rather fight these battles alongside. Story 32. I did it for my wife. Hung through 3 years of heavy alcoholism after her mother died prematurely. Not a single person could get through to her during that time, but I stayed around and made sure she was at least safe. I essentially handled everything for us for 3 straight years. She is 1 year sober now and a completely different person. She's back. Story 33. Divorced with full custody of my kids. She went through the mother of all midlife crises, started reading romantic novels, 300 to be exact, and decided that I wasn't romantic enough. How was I supposed to compete with Fabio? She cheated on me with some guy 20 years younger than her, so I kicked her to the curb. I've never been happier. Story 34. Stuck with my partner who is a recovering alcoholic. The first 6 months of his sobriety were extremely challenging. Then things slowly started to get better. He is molded into the man of my dreams, sober, and has given me everything he has ever promised. I'm grateful to have hung in there, and God bless anyone going through something similar.